Hello, everybody, and welcome to Jackie Chan-uary. We're doing this again.
January again.
Yeah.
The time of year.
For the month of January, we are doing 4 Jackie Chan movies, one each week. Taking a look at Jackie Chan's oeuvre. Is it going to be your favorite Jackie Chan movie? Probably not, to be honest, but stick around. We're going to have some laughs.
This is the second time that we're doing it.
Yeah, we did 4 pretty good movies last time. Rumble in the Bronx, Police Story, Who Am I, and Shanghai Nights.
Shanghai Nights 2.
Shanghai Nights, yeah. So this is how the series goes. Yeah, we just pick random Jackie Chan movies that we feel like talking about it.
Until we run out of Jackie Chan movies.
Which will never happen.
Which will take a long time, actually.
We'll probably be dead before that happens.
Yeah, I think so.
January only comes once a year. So.
Yeah. We did want to do other actors, but we kind of struggle with time to get them done. So.
We do these on top of our weekly podcast, Two Asian Blokes, where we talk about Asian pop culture. So it is extra work for us. So bear that in mind as you listen to the quality. But that shouldn't stop you from leaving a like, to be honest. Leave a like on this video.
Yeah. I mean, let's just get cracking, shall we, on the first movie.
We are talking about today 1984's Wheels on Meals, written and directed by Sammo Hung, starring Jackie Chan, Yuen Biao, and Sammo Hung.
And a bunch of other Spanish people that I've never seen.
Because this movie is set in Barcelona, Spain. We're taking it abroad, Tavi. Jackie Chan playing Thomas and Yuen Biao playing David. Just a couple of Chinese pervs living in Barcelona.
So is Cantonese the national language of Barcelona or something?
You know, it's movie magic, Tavi. What do you want? You want a Tekken situation where everybody speaks their native tongue but inexplicably understands each other?
I don't think I've seen this movie for a very long time because I didn't know that this movie was set in Barcelona.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this movie wasn't on overly much on TV when we were growing up.
Yeah, this is one of the lesser known ones, would you say?
Yeah. It's lesser known by a mainstream audience, I would say, but very highly regarded by martial arts aficionados for reasons that we'll probably get into during the course of this episode. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this movie. It's a very silly movie, Tavi.
Yeah.
So Thomas and David, they're living in Barcelona together. They own and operate a food truck together called Everybody's Kitchen. What do you think of their van's computer interface, Tavi?
It's very ahead of its time, but also very unnecessary.
Just the best, just the stuff that 80s people thought that future computers would be used for. You gotta fucking rotate the truck on the screen in order to open each door individually. Each door has a separate button for some reason. It's amazing.
The thing is, it's not wrong, but it's like much easier in the 2025 era
it's
where
faster.
it is literally just
you don't have to painstakingly rotate the van on the interface to open the doors.
Yeah.
Pretty good though. I like that practical effect though of the van itself.
Yeah.
I think the van itself is a fun little addition. Jackie Chan skateboarding as well. Well, some of it is Jackie Chan, I think, but most of it probably isn't.
Yeah. How old was Jackie Chan when he made this movie?
Well, this came out 84 and Jackie Chan was born in 54. So yeah, he would have been 30 at time of release.
Yeah. I'm sure he still could have done a kickflip here and there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a scene later, there's like a montage scene where both of them do a bit of skateboarding and you get to see their face a lot. But in the opening scene, he is using the skateboard to take people's orders. They get along pretty well with the community, which is nice to see. And they kind of introduce in a very Rumble in the Bronx way, where a gang of biker people kind of start running
The edit
amok.
is really funny when you first hear it because it's very abrupt.
Yeah.
They're very 80s, 90s villain style.
Yeah.
It is very Rumble in the Bronx
They're very
style.
noisy, very obnoxious. Yeah. These bikers come and start riding around their business, kind of messing with their business, and they refuse to leave. So what do our protagonists do? Do they alert the authorities? Nah, they just beat them up. They just beat them up, tell me.
Just beat them up, yeah.
Pretty good motorbike stunts though in that scene.
Yeah. I wonder if almost you could say that our lead characters, Thomas and David, are somewhat anti-heroes at some point because they do have a moral moral code, but then they also will abandon
Yeah, they're a couple of perverts, Tavi.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Just cop blocking each other for the whole movie.
It's just 80s style right there, you know, just...
They're fun characters, at least.
They're fun characters, yeah. I think this movie starts off a little bit slower because there's kind of like a long stretch of not much happening.
Yeah, you're right. The setup is more romantic comedy than anything, really. Like, the action is pretty sparse, and the tone of the films takes more of a comedic tone than some of his other action films.
Yeah, probably like Gorgeous, I think.
Yeah, very similar to Gorgeous.
Similar tone.
But yeah, you're right. They go to visit David's dad in the mental hospital. Just wanted to touch on the fashion a little bit. In this scene, David is wearing like a knitted blue sweater vest over a yellow like short sleeve button down over a navy long sleeve tee, and I'm like, what is this look, David? Like, was that 80s fashion? Is that what it looked like?
Yeah, man. Like, haven't you seen like an 80s new wave band? I'm pretty sure that was the fashion back in the day.
Because Jackie Chan's not wearing anything as outlandish as that. But I guess David's just ahead of the curve.
Jackie Chan's got no style.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, David's supposed to be the styler one, and Jackie Chan's more of the muscle.
Yeah, you're right. You can tell from his eyeglasses. How would you describe their dynamic? I guess David is kind of like the nerdier one, right?
Yeah, I think so. David's the nerdy one.
Because he has trouble talking to women.
He's blindsided by the hotness of women.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they come across, it's not Gloria. Gloria's the mother.
Yeah, Gloria's the mother who is dating David's dad in the mental hospital. And Silvia is the daughter.
Yeah, Silvia.
Silvia played by Lola Fauna, who would later work with Jackie Chan again on Armor of God. They come across each other in the mental institute where their parents reside, and David immediately develops a crush on Silvia.
So I'd say that David's probably more of the otaku, where Thomas, he's almost more of like, surprisingly, somewhat of a support to David. These characters don't really go through any kind of story arc. Their choices and their motivations just switch very suddenly. Like Silvia, she's a pickpocket, and they rescue her from a guy who she's stolen from.
Yeah, David invites her back to their place even though she had just stolen a guy's wallet.
Yeah, and like Jackie Chan knows that she's gonna steal again, but
oh yeah, by the way, in this series, we're just gonna call Jackie Chan's characters Jackie. They're all just Jackie Chan.
They're all just Jackie Chan.
His name is Lee, goddammit.
Yeah, but yeah, he knows, but they just kind of just let her do it. They think they try to outsmart her by trying to hide money around the house, but she steals their money anyway in the morning. And then where Jackie Chan is pissed off, but David's like, nah, it's fine. Like, she's hot, don't worry about it. She'll give it back. And then you kind of find out that she's being chased by a bunch of Spanish goons.
Sammo Hung is in this film as well.
Yeah, as kind of a bumbling private eye who is the butt of a lot of jokes in this movie.
Yeah.
I guess that's what he gets for being like the fat guy who's got a kung fu.
But he's involved in the story because his first case is to find Gloria and her child. He's hired by a mysterious gentleman in a bowler hat. So Silvia, she crashes her car into Moby, which is Sammo Hung's character's name.
Not the singer, Moby. That guy.
I think Moby as in Moby Dick, maybe, because he's fat like a whale. I think that might be the joke there.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Fuck, man. He wrote this movie. He just wrote this about
But that was his thing,
He's not taking
Tavi.
himself too seriously, yeah.
He was the fat, agile guy, you know?
It's kind of mean, but it's funny.
Yeah. He saves her from a bunch of goons who are trying to kidnap Silvia for nefarious purposes, it seems. She also runs away from Moby, even though he gets beaten up for her. But then Moby invites Thomas and David clubbing, so it turns out they all know each other.
Yeah, I guess the three Chinese guys in Spain.
The only three Chinese blokes in Barcelona.
Yeah, there's not a lot even these days. Like,
well, there's a couple in the mental asylums that we'll see. So.
They just like land in Spain. It's like, oh, you're a bit Chinese. Just send them to the mental asylum.
Straight into the mental asylum.
I do have a mate who is of Hong Kong descent. I wonder if he got the same treatment as well. He was one of very few people of Chinese descent living in Barcelona, in Spain altogether.
He had a good time there.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. We forget because we live in Australia, but there's not that much diversity in Spain. But of course I'm wrong because everyone speaks Cantonese. So
That's true. So it would have been easy for your mate to get around, really. actually.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Moby asked Thomas and David to help him find Silvia, but they refused. They're pretty mean to him.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not uncommon for Jackie Chan characters in movies to be like quite cheeky with each other.
Yeah.
But sometimes they come off as like pretty mean.
Yeah.
They just don't want to help.
Yeah, they just don't want to help
Yeah.
Moby. Not really for any reason. I think the implication is supposed to be that Moby is not very trustworthy. So, like, that's why they don't really trust him and they don't want to help him initially. But yeah, sometimes they do come across as a bit mean. Because it happens throughout the film as well. They never let up on this guy.
Yeah, they're always like chucking him out of vehicles and shit as well.
Yeah,
they chuck him out of a moving fucking vehicle. Like, jumping ahead a bit, there's a fucking scene where they're trying to get away from these goons in a pretty cool car chase, actually. It's a very, like, impressive car stunts.
Yeah,
as
so
well.
they're getting away in their food truck.
What was the cause? They like kick him out of the food truck?
It's basically they've lost the guys that are chasing them, and then he's like hanging out the door, kind of celebrating their victory, and then it goes over a bump and he just falls out. But they don't stop. They don't stop and pick him up. They just keep going.
He could be dead. You snap his neck. You'd be like, oh.
They could have stopped, but they don't, because, you know, who gives a shit about Moby?
All of the comedy is quite funny. There's a lot of like slapstick style of humor, like sort of classic Asian style, where it's not really joke based. It's kind of like things look funny, like in the mental asylum. I'm not sure if this is very PC these days, but there's a guy who's kind of like imitating a clock. He kind of looks funny.
Yeah, there's a bit of banter as well. Like the back and forth, I think, is supposed to be pretty funny, pretty snappy. I think
there's some bits where the comedy does kind of hold the film up a little bit, though. Like the scene where Sammo Hung and two of the mental patients are like chatting, and he's like been tied up or something, and it's just like, like this kind of goes on for a little bit too long. It's funny, but I think this is the point where it doesn't really advance that much. It's sort of maybe a little bit self-indulgent.
I think that scene might have been extended because it involves their co-stars from the Lucky Stars series. It's kind of like a cameo moment, I guess, for them. I think the humor it's okay. I never laughed out loud, I don't think, during this movie. I think some of the comedy might be a little bit dated as well. But it is charming. I think it adds a lot to the charm of the film overall. There's a scene where they save Silvia again. Like, she's running away from goons again. And then they beat up all the goons. And then the cops come. And the goons are like, she's a pickpocket and they're her accomplice. And then the cop grabs them and they both like shed their jackets like it's nothing. just slip right out of their shirts and just scurry away and hide in the bushes like they're Dr. Zoidberg. It's really funny.
There's another funny bit where, it's at that point where they rescue Silvia again, and then they realize that Silvia's kind of like had a little bit of a troubled history and she's not going to steal from them anymore. And she said she's going to pay them back, but they're like, why don't you just work for us instead? And then that way it's like you can pay it back. And she agrees. And then there's a very fun, cute montage of them rollerblading and serving food and then
doing
fuck
flips
around and skateboarding and doing flips. It's a really fun, the end to that montage, it's really funny because they're pushing Silvia on a skateboard and then they start arguing, but then she's just goes off on her own and then she hits like a curve and then she just goes flying
into a fountain.
Then they just like walk off. Like,
good.
oh, okay, she could be drowning, like maybe she can't swim.
That's true. I don't think the fountain was that deep, but it would have been a tragic end.
Maybe it was too shallow. Maybe she snapped her neck.
Oh, she just fucking $1 million babies her head on the curve. That would have been pretty grim. By the way, what do you think of the music in this film? Because I only just noticed that there were 2 soundtracks in this film.
There's the mono original and then the alternate stereo mix. That's the one that it defaulted on.
The music is the main differing point, I think. Because when I watched it in the past, it had been the original version. So that's the version that I watched this time around as well. But you watched the alternate version because that was the default setting, right? The alternate version, I think, is for the international release.
It feels more 80s.
It feels a bit more modern, maybe.
More modern 80s, I had to listen to both, and the mono is the kind of more, I guess it's slightly more classic Hong Kong 80s, whereas the alternate version, it still sounds quite like frantic Jackie Chan police story, but maybe just a little bit more modern, a little bit more, I guess, Street Fighter, if it isn't a better way to describe it. So I don't think it really detracted that much
They're both pretty good. So there's a fair bit of good doses of action sprinkled in amongst the romantic comedy of it all.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's a really cool car chase. Like it's really good. I wasn't expecting it because I usually don't watch those parts again.
There's another super random part of comedy where like the Spanish grandma comes out of a sports car
Oh,
and just
yes.
yells at them.
Yeah, they managed to fit a Mitsubishi ad in the car chase. She's like, lucky my car is really fast and cool. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made that jump. Lucky my car has heated car seats. Otherwise, my butt would be cold right now.
Man, I want the car where I have to turn my car around on the computer screen to open up the doors and shit. That's what I want. Yeah.
Like, Tavi, let me out. This is my house. You're like, just a sec.
Just give me a second. just gonna turn it around.
Oh, fuck, it's the wrong door. Sorry.
Oh, things not connected. Yeah. It's funny because we do actually have a lot of like in-car, like GPS Host 2020. Yeah, this movie told the future before Back to the Future did.
It's not even set in the future. It's just their food truck, Tavi.
Yeah, it's true.
It's got a really futuristic interface.
No wonder fucking food truck food is so expensive. They gotta have all these fucking computer systems to like cook their food. It's
No wonder they're sharing like a 1-bedroom flat between two blokes. They spend all their money on that computer interface stuff. These guys, they don't make good decisions, alright? But yeah, after the car chase, we get introduced to the bad guy of the film, don't we? Well, we get introduced to the bad guy and his Asian stunt double. His name is Mondale, and he is introduced 1 hour and 5 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, it's a little bit late, isn't it? Yeah, it's just like, we better introduce a bad guy.
Better late
He's not
than
the most
never, I guess.
compelling villain. And to be fair, like if we think about like White Tiger from the other movies.
Yeah. It's kind of a staple in Jackie Chan films to just have like just a generic,
one-dimensional villain. Just like
non-Chinese villain.
Yeah, pretty much. Who's kind of good at fighting. Maybe he was the blueprint for Rathbone because he also fights with a rapier.
At least in this movie, they like show him training, and it doesn't come out of nowhere when he's suddenly good at fighting like Rathbone. But Mondale, his motivation is basically he needs to get rid of Silvia and her mum because they're standing in the way of
because he wants money.
I like money.
He wants inheritance.
Yes.
That's the most 80s villain motivation. It's just, I just want money.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it is.
He's got two main henchmen that are quite threatening. Like they have a little scrap with Thomas and David prior to the big showdown at the end, and Thomas and David kind of get their asses kicked. So
that scene's actually funny because they're like running away only from a few bodyguards, and David's like, why don't we just fight them? We're always fighting like 10, 20 guys at a time. And like, good point. And then they beat 4 of them very, very easily. And then they fight Benny and the other guy. They're like, nah, they're too strong. They just run away. It's quite funny.
It's good.
I think the fighting in this movie is pretty good. It's very much the classic Jackie Chan vein. A lot of choreographed, rhythmic battle sequences with a lot of light comedic undertones to it. So none of it is really graphic, which is, I guess it's not supposed to be. You see bruises on people's faces and stuff. But obviously the highlight of this movie is Jackie Chan versus Benny. And I think this is just the one fight scene that goes through the rounds on YouTube, and you hear about it all the time. I remember watching it when I was in like high school.
Many martial arts cinema aficionados regard it as the best fight scene put to film.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, no, it's very, very good.
I love this fight scene, Tavi. It's so cool. I love how like the music is stripped back, so you can just hear like the grunting and the flapping and the impacts. There's 80s kung fu sound effects.
The classic sound design.
I love the choreography. It's really intricate and fluid, but it's also pretty roughneck and visceral.
Yeah.
They're just going at each other so hard as well. It's so good.
Yeah. And the comedy is not too played up as well.
It doesn't take you out of the scene.
Yeah. I guess you can compare it to In Gorgeous, where it starts off very similar and it's also great as well, but probably gets a little bit too silly at a point where they're pulling a lot of goofy faces. Yeah, like I said, I think this is a really fantastic fight scene. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite fight scene of all time. I still think that goes to the Raid 2 where it's Urquidez versus Chip Chip. I think that's still my favorite.
That's good too. But did you see the part where Benny kicks out the candles, Tavi? It's fucking sick.
Yeah.
There was no
pretty
trickery
cool.
involved
Yeah.
in that. He just kicks out the candles.
Yeah.
So good.
I think that's the awesome thing about watching the stunts, because they can't afford to do CGI, not like in another Jackie Chan movie, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, we might talk
this
about
series.
we might talk about one of those.
Yeah, but it's really in the crafting of the stunts where I think I get conflicted about it, because it's kind of hard to say like you want to replicate this of the old days, but so many people get hurt like doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it's because of doing stuff like this, you kind of need regulations. But
Yeah.
I think it's kind of drawing the line between making shit really safe, but also sometimes you got to break an egg a little bit.
Well,
but it's
well,
just-
some people
yeah.
say that this fight scene, they were going at each other for real. And that's not true. Like, they are pulling their punches, but it's pretty hard to tell at times. And, like, they are doing body shots for real, but there's padding involved. So it's probably as real as you could do safely. And, yeah, you're right. Like, safety regulations have been increased because, not many people have the kind of control that Benny and Jackie have.
Yeah, like these are two professional athletes.
To be honest, they might not have the control that they say that they do, but they just, they just tank it, I guess.
Yeah, they're just strong. Like, I don't know that much about Benny's kickboxing record. I just know that he was quite prolific at the time.
And he comes back in Dragons Forever, a couple of years down the line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has another fight scene in that movie with Jackie Chan. It's not as good, I think.
It's not as good as the bubble fight scene in,
Yeah.
what was that John Cena one?
Hidden Strike.
Hidden
Tavi,
something?
Hidden Strike.
Hidden Strike, yeah.
I'll link the review up here, I guess.
I completely forgot that we had talked about that movie.
Yeah,
That
we
was a
talked
pretty
about it.
shocking movie. But anyway, it's not as good as the bubble fight scene.
But no, it's
much
good.
better.
I like how
Yeah.
Thomas realizes that he needs to relax in order to win the fight, and that's when the soundtrack
Yeah.
kicks in. In the original, the soundtrack is
yeah.
like this 70s Bruce Lee groove. It's pretty cool. And Jackie's fighting approach changes. Very similar to Gorgeous, you're right. This movie is probably like the prototype for Gorgeous.
Yeah.
In terms of tone and narrative. And he starts getting the upper hand on Benny the Jet, even though he was losing initially. Ends up defeating him in a somewhat comedic manner.
Yeah.
The other two fights going on are okay.
Yeah, it's hard because you can't really match it, can you?
Yeah, well, I do like how you kind of get a taste of all of their abilities. Like, Sammo Hung's got his prop fighting. He gets to have a little sword fight. Yuen Biao's got his agility. He's jumping around a lot and scampering around. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, the highlight is definitely Jackie versus Benny.
I do like Sammo Hung's entrance into that scene where he just has like a
halberd.
halberd is just like flinging it around.
Yeah.
I liked watching him fight the final boss for a bit.
Yeah, he's got 2 rapiers. Pretty good.
But he doesn't conclude his fight scene. He needs help.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Wouldn't it have been like disappointing if he just single-handedly defeated the big bad guy? Because he's not exactly the main character of this film.
Yeah. The scene where they beat him is kind of anticlimactic, but also very funny at the same time.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan and David come in, and then they kind of like do this little comedy routine to be the 3 musketeers.
Yeah.
And they kind of just like stab him. And it's like, cool, we beat you now. And then it's just cuts to them just working back at the food truck. And that's that.
It's pretty abrupt. It's pretty abrupt.
It is very abrupt.
It would have been cool if Mondale was able to take 3 of them on for a little bit at least, but nah, he just goes out like a chump.
He's just like, oh, okay, well, you guys got me.
Yeah, yeah. 3 of you.
That he gets
It's one of me. I was really counting on Benny the Jet to do more.
Yeah. This might be one of the first Jackie Chan movies where I don't see outtakes.
That's true.
It's
It kind of just ends. It ends in a
just
freeze
ends,
frame.
Yeah.
And a song that's presumably sung by Jackie Chan. But yeah, as far as this film goes, I had a lot of fun with it. I was afraid that it was going to be dated and not as good as I remember. But yeah, I mean, admittedly, it takes a while to get going, but yeah, it's pretty fun along the way as well.
Yeah,
and once it gets going, it's really good. I love the castle infiltration.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's one of his better classics, but it's still a very highly enjoyable film. It's very easy to watch. You don't need to take it too seriously. Just enjoy the fights, enjoy the banter.
And this is peak this trio as well. Like Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and Yuen Biao. Like the peak of their fame. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that it was shot in Barcelona as well.
Yeah, pretty different. Yeah.
I mean, everybody speaks Cantonese, but it couldn't have been easy for them to do that. Apparently, they did this because these three were like such big stars at the time that they couldn't film in public in Hong Kong without being swarmed.
Okay.
And B, because like permits for filming in Hong Kong were getting increasingly difficult to obtain. So yeah, they moved it abroad.
Yeah.
And yeah, pretty good. I like the scenery. I like that there's like a horny Italian bloke that just lives across the across the hall from them.
I love the comedy that it's just like his wife is like willing to just kill him with a gun.
Yeah. Pretty good. You got anything more to say about this film, Tommy?
Nah, I think that might be enough Meals on Wheels for us now. I think it's good.
It's Wheels on Meals, by the way.
Meals on Wheels, Wheels on Meals.
Oh, apparently Golden Harvest changed it from Meals on Wheels to Wheels on Meals because their previous two movies with titles beginning with M both flopped. So they're like, nah, we're changing it to Wheels on Meals. That doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I had no fucking idea. That sounds like a very
It's a very Chinese thing to do.
yeah, that's not the way to say it. That's the most like pseudo, like superstitious, like behind the scenes. It's just like a bunch of guys doing occult shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually probably not too far from the truth.
Yeah, man. I've seen Eyes Wide Shut. Stanley Kubrick died like 2 weeks after that film came out. Tyler.
Yeah.
Coincidence? Probably. But maybe not. Anyway, guys, this has been Wheels on Meals, the first installment of this year's Jackie Chan-uary. Here's a hint to what we're doing next week. Bad movie, I think. We'll talk about it. If you enjoyed this, maybe check out our weekly podcast, as mentioned up top, Two Asian Blokes, where you talk about Asian pop culture, film, TV shows, comic books, and all that. Check it out if you haven't already. Available everywhere you get your pods. So we'll see you next time for Jackie Chan-uary.
Yeah, see ya.